Hello everyone, that's the review of the 135mm 1.8 by Sony. This video was made possible thanks to Objektivvermietung.de, link is in the video description. So if you would like to test this lens before buying it, make sure you have a look into the video description below. In this video you're gonna see some presets I put on these photos that I created in Adobe Lightroom. So if you would like to have the same image style, make sure you have a look onto my preset store listed in the video description below. The Sony 135mm 1.8 G Master is not exactly a lightweight at 950 grams on a Sony Alpha 7 IV because the center of gravity falls forward. For the large front element you should use an 82mm filter. My favorite filter is listed in the video description. Unfortunately, Sony has moved manufacturing to China and so the serial number is just a sticker if anyone wants to know. The body is otherwise well made, has an AF/MF switch as well as one for the focus distance. You can use the aperture control ring to manually adjust the aperture, or leave it at automatic to change it using the camera's menu. If you want to adjust the aperture continuously, that works via the click switch on the side. You also have a large focus ring with a digital display on the camera. You find the following shots in the video description as a download in RAW. At 1.8 the 135mm is super sharp. Of course the 33 megapixel sensor helps you here. We'll come to this point later. If you're still not convinced, just download the RAW files and take a look in Adobe Lightroom. If you work without correction, you will notice a relatively pronounced vignetting at 1.8. At about f4 the dark edges disappear naturally. For everything else there's an automatic correction in Adobe Lightroom. I wouldn't worry about chromatic aberrations any more than that, even if you can see the odd magenta shimmer at close range. Make sure to check out the sample files. If you often shoot in sunny places, the lens flare might be a concern to you. I held the lens in all directions for you, filmed and took photos, and this is how it looks like with flaring. Let's have a look at the autofocus. It was very fast and precise in AFC mode using the Alpha 7 IV. The eye tracking is super fast. Look at the sharpness around the eyes despite the 1.8 aperture while we moved. Keep in mind that for some features, like a larger buffer or slow motion video, you'll need a CFast Express Type A card. Otherwise you'll run out after about 20 to 30 frames. You can find the appropriate memory card in the video description. I had no problems in video mode. Only one thing is noticeable, it is not a 50mm but a 135mm. That means you should definitely make sure to have enough space. In an open field it doesn't matter, but if you're in a closed space like a church, it can be tight from time to time. The 135mm is a special focal length for portraits. No questions, they look great. Thanks to the focal length and the 1.8 aperture, you will not only have a fast telephoto lens, but also a nice bokeh. This allows you to make the background completely unrecognizable and still get good shots at night. As we have just seen, the eye tracking contributes a lot when taking portraits. It covers 18 degrees of image diagonal on a 35mm sensor or 12 degrees on an APS-C sensor.
What if I lost touch? What if I'll never get it right? I try to follow my heart, but I lost it somehow. Wish that someone could say it'll all be okay. Just listen to me as I say.
As you could already see, the bokeh is pretty nice. The 11 aperture blades create such nice bokeh balls. When focusing manually, you can play with the bokeh very nicely, and at night a 1.8 aperture can't hurt. Since we've already talked about the autofocus, let's take a look at some video footage. I think this lens makes such nice shots, and in the summer, when you have the evening sun in the background, in the fields and a matching face in front of the camera. But anyway, the focus is very fast in video mode, precise, and that's one reason why you can consider this lens for video. Remember to enable eye autofocus, otherwise if you play around with such a small focus field, you get garbage as soon as someone moves around the lens. But now I'm curious about your opinion. Do you have this lens? If so, what camera do you use it on and for what? Or are you going to buy it? In any case, you should test this lens before buying it, because 135mm is not an everyday focal length. For one person it might be too wide, and other persons might think that a 70 to 200mm is a better alternative. Objektivvermietung.de offers a remedy for this. You can also rent the right camera at the same time. Now we come to the conclusion. 1600 euros for a fast telephoto lens including a bag and the lens hood are not the world for a portrait lens, for example for weddings, as long as you get your money back. But maybe 85mm is enough for you. In the end, the decision is yours. You can't use the teleconverter with the 135mm, unfortunately, and you most likely have an image stabilizer in your camera. You get a stunning blur background for portraits in any case, which of course is ideal for weddings or business photos. Thanks to the 1.8 aperture, you'll get great shots even in low light. What I have noticed is that this lens is quite front heavy. Maybe that matters to you if you plan to use this lens on a gimbal. If you like the sample files and this review, you can actively support my channel. You can find the lens, the camera, the memory card or everything else on my Amazon store in the video description. See you very soon und bis bald. Tschüss!